Here's a reason why I'm not the biggest fan of cheese. Well, one of the many reasons, okay? Whenever I do have a dairy product such as that, I like myself a good, hard, aged cheddar. We'll see if this is one of the ones that ends up getting snatched up by this list of cheese teeming with microplastics. What are the worst ones? Well, let's take a look right here. A study out of Italy found that nearly all dairy products contain microplastics. Yeah, that kind of makes more sense. Or it does make enough sense, rather. And there are way more in cheese than regular old milk. But not all cheese is created equal. Some varieties contain more particles than other. Okay, so which ones? Researchers at the University of Padua, sure, analyzed 28 dairy samples, including milk and several cheeses, and discovered microplastics in all but 2 of them. Okay, cool. The common kinds of microplastics were PETs, polyethylene, and polypropylene, which are often found in food packaging. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but the authors note that that's not the only way plastic might be seeping in. In fact, it could be containing dairy well before contaminating dairy, rather, well before it's even packaged up in cartons or wrappers. Some possible sources they suggest include feed milking equipment or clothing at the farm level, clothing and protective gear in processing plants and processing machinery, transportation, and storage. And the type of dairy you choose can make a big difference on how many microplastics you're ingesting. Milk was found to have just 350 particles per kilogram. Oh, that's it. Way less than the over 1,000 particles. That is way less per kilogram found in cheese. Well, what are the worst ones? Let's get to it. The fresh cheese is less contaminated than ripened cheese, with just 1,280 particles per kilogram compared to a ripened's 1,857 particles per kilogram. Fresh cheese is made with fresh curds and have not been pressed or aged. These include varieties like mozzarella, ricotta, burrata, feta, mascarpone. I've never heard of that one before. I'm sure somebody has. Cream cheese, cottage cheese, paneer, and queso blanco. Ripened cheese, meanwhile, is aged and or matured. Examples include cheddar, Gouda, Gruyere, Camembert, sure, Parmesan, and blue cheese like Gorgonzola. But why... why should you care about eating microplastics? Well, I mean, they'll literally kill you 7 different ways from Sunday. Research on the subject is still early, but studies have linked microplastic in the bodies to a host of health issues. Yes, we talked about this quite extensively last year. If you want to go look up some of those videos, head on over to the Rumble channel, as, they haven't quite made the leap over to the newly reacquired YouTube side of life. They've been found to interfere with blood sugar levels, damage the liver, adversely impact mental health, trigger chronic inflammation, damage cells, disrupt hormones, and even mess with the bacteria in our guts. So like I said, man, microplastics are really bad for you, and it's another reason why you should be steering clear of dairy, full stop. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Conspilo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.